was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. Damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Full Time Sports Network here on a Tuesday afternoon. Well, for me, it is anyway, depending where you are in the world. I am joined by a very, very wonderful, knowledgeable person in Queen Ellie, a Tottenham fan.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm all right, Colin. I'm looking forward to all the gossip and what's coming out of the football world with you. As you know, this is the channel to come to when you want the whole of the truth.
Well, we do try. We do try. I'm not going to lie there. Not going to lie at all. Before we do get into it, I do need to do a very, very quick bit of housekeeping. If you've been watching the show before, you will know we're in a partnership with Rafe Esports Energy Drink. They're an official partner with ourselves. They've gave us a discount code of FTSN22 for 10% off, or you can scan that QR code and it'll do it all for you. So thank you so much to Rafe Energy. Okay, housekeeping has been done. There's been a lot going off in the world of football today and over the last couple of days. Seeing as though you're here, obviously, I'm being a Spurs fan, we will get straight into some big news that's coming from, obviously, Tottenham. And that is in regards to Arne Slot. So apparently, according to reports, Slot has verbally agreed to join Tottenham next season, and deals, Daniel Levy is trying to be a bit like Del Boy, trying to wheel a deal and get this over the line. What's your thoughts on Slot?
I like him. I think he's brilliant. And I didn't know much about him before, right? I must admit, but I've been doing my research, as a good Spurs fan should do, right? And I found out that he was at AZ Alkmaar before he came, and he sort of, they said he was losing focus at the club, but he had 75% win percentage there, which was fantastic. So I don't know why they got rid of him, and now look where they are. You know, they just got knocked out by West Ham, right? And now he's taken this final team who really, in the Eredivisie, they really get dominated by Ajax. And he's had only 4 players there, and he's added all these players that he scouted with his scouting team and his DOF, right? And he's built up a fantastic team that have absolutely wiped the floor in the Eredivisie. And he's been very, very impressive. And I like the look of him, and I like his team talks. I've been looking at all the videos of his team talks as well, Colin. Brilliant. Fantastic motivator. That's what we need. Yeah. We need to kick up the Jacksy at Spurs. Someone who'll go in there with a strong hand. Someone who's going to not take no shit from anybody, you know. So, yeah, I'm happy about the appointment.
Good. I mean, I know a little bit about the guy, you know. I'm not going to say, you know, I've watched every single final game or out like that. You know, I'm not going to announce that because I haven't. But obviously, I do know things. He plays 4-3-3, which I think suits Spurs quite well. Yeah. You know, you've got Kane down the middle, Son on one side, it's Kulu on the other side at the moment. Those three seem to work well together. I know it hasn't really seemed it this season with some of the results, but they do work well together. I mean, and you were saying there as well, and obviously in the Eredivisie, it's a league that is dominated by Ajax a lot. Now, looking at his stats this season, they've played 33 matches. He's won 25, drew 7, and lost one game all season.
I know. Fabulous. Fabulous stats. We needed somebody not just with stats. I like the other side of football. Stats give you one aspect of the game, but the other side of football, the team talks, the motivation, the spirit, making the team gel as a team, because we haven't got that at Spurs that I've seen. It's like very individual, and I want us to be a team again, like we were under Poch, and press together, play for each other. Because you look, a coach like Conte comes in, Colin, and he calls them all out and says the selfishness. They're not playing as a team. I want to see that back at Spurs. And if we win something along the way, that's fantastic. Because we haven't won anything. This is our 15th season. We haven't won a trophy, which is atrocious. It's I read somewhere 71-year trophy drought. It's the worst trophy drought in 71 years. So I know teams like Man United, Liverpool, Man City and Man United, they always dominate the trophies. It's like that. But Spurs have always chipped in a couple or 2 or 3 every decade. But we're not even doing that now. We've got one in 2.5, nearly 2.5 decades. You see, so it's not on.
No, obviously, a club such as yourselves, want to be challenging for trophies and titles. I mean, let's face it, Tottenham isn't a nobody club. Tottenham does have quite a bit of history behind them. I mean, you look everywhere at the minute on social media. I'm not going to say anything.
Rather than the history.
I'm not going to say anything because I'll get in trouble with people. But yeah, I mean, if you look everywhere, I mean, this Arnie Slot thing is everywhere. Papers, Twitter, Sky Sports. I know obviously your channel had some news on it earlier, and have done for the last couple of days as well. Obviously, and they're saying, Arnie Slot agrees to join Tottenham after winning the Eredivisie. Expected cost of £6 million. Now, I know that's the buyout clause, but I know that doesn't come into effect until the end of next season.
That's right.
So, do you think the Feyenoord would text us $6 million now? Because it's like, well, we're gonna lose him for $6 million next season anyway. Or do you think they'll be expecting a little bit more?
Do you know what? Knowing Daniel Levy, what he'll say, I'll give you $3 million now, lads, and $3 million next year. That's the sort of deal we'll do. Or the other deal we'll do is say, I won't give you anything now, but I'll give you it in instalments. like he's done for a lot of our deals. Remember, he's a shrewd businessman, but I don't really like how he does business in terms of the transfers. The other side of business, he's done us good. There's no doubt about that. But, I reckon he's got something up his sleeve. Just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, quickly, last thing I'm going to ask you about Slot, and then we'll move on to the little next topic is looking at the Spurs web, obviously, it's a well-known, established little source of news for Spurs fans, or so I'm led to believe anyway. They are stating that Harry Kane has worked with some big name managers at Tottenham over the recent years, as though North London clubs are likely to hand the job up to a young and up-and-coming project manager as such. But they're saying that the arrival of Slot could convince Harry Kane to remain at Tottenham next season. Do you think, one, that will be the case, Slot comes in, Kane stays, and two, how important is it to Spurs that Kane does stay next season? Because obviously there's a lot of rumours going around that Manchester United are wanting Harry Kane, and I think there's some other clubs as well looking at him. But I know, as far as I'm aware, he wants to stay in England. So how big of a boost is that?
Yeah, I think he'll look at it and think, well, the other managers didn't work out. We brought in 3 big names and they haven't really worked out. We'll say 3, including Jose, but we sacked him too early. But I think he'll think that is a positive move because I think he'll look at him like a Poch type manager, and he's got a similar style and he likes to press and he likes runners in his team. So he's going to see a marked improvement in our running stats. And with Harry Kane, because he's not particularly fast and he's not particularly, he's not an unfit player, but he's not the fittest of strikers in terms of how he gets about the pitch nowadays. Because I've seen in the last 2 seasons, he has slowed down, especially this season. And he's more or less dropping back like Rooney did when he started getting older. So in regards to that, I think he'll like that idea, because it's something that he's used to as well, something where he's going to see an exciting new era come for Spurs, And in terms of whether he wants, I think he'll want to stay, but if it depends on Daniel Levy as well, because he said categorically that he doesn't want to sell and that he made a big mistake letting Berbatov go and Sheringham when he let them go. And what happened there? They went on to fantastic careers with Man United. So he's got the shotgun over the barrel over his head, hasn't he, with the Spurs fans? Because if he lets Kane go, that's a drop off of 30 goals a season, more or less, on average. You've got to replace that 30 goals, haven't you?
Well, yeah, you would. I mean,
there's
not many
easy.
players. No, there isn't. There's not many players out there that can do that. There's not many players that can score 30 goals a season. And I'm just saying here as well that if he does come in and take over, he wants to make Orkan Koku. I think he's Turkish born. I think he's Turkish heritage, but he's from Holland. So he's from the Netherlands. So I like the look of him. As soon as I saw his name pop up, I started researching him like you do. I did know of him before, though, because he is quite a well-known player, in Europe. I like what I've seen. I like his strength. I like his ball skills. He's very tenacious. He gets stuck in and he's very skillful as well. So I don't mind a player like that coming in because I personally think they're going to sell Højbjerg. Yeah.
Because a lot of teams were touting him last year, and it was weird that he didn't play the last game. I don't think he was injured because at the Aston Villa game, Colin, they were cheering. They were chanting, sorry, Højbjerg is useless. Which, I'm called Queen Ellie Højbjerg, so I'm his number 1 fan. So I don't think he liked that, and I think it really took him aback. And I could see in the Aston Villa game, he dropped his performance completely. He weren't even trying. I think it got to him. I don't like that when fans do that. It's not on.
No, it's not at all. I just want to say,
let alone the one I like.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Just want to say hello to Elias, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah. Hello, Elias.
Hope you are doing well, buddy. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. So, very last question on this.
Yeah.
Slot coming in, how would you rate it out of 10?
Oh, it's a hard one, really. If I'm just going on his record at Alkmaar and Feyenoord, sorry, I would say an 8.5. I'd rate it that high.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give him a 9 yet, or a 10, obviously, because he hasn't done anything in England yet. Wait till his first year's over, and then we can evaluate it again. But at this present moment, what he did at Feyenoord, and he took him to the Conference League final as well last year, which is no mean feat. Because even though people say it's the lesser of 3, you still got to beat who's in front of you, yeah. And these teams, they fight for their lives, some of them, because of the money they're earning as well. So the further they get in, the more bonuses they get, and also it's a step into the Europa Cup. as well. And then you go up to the Champions League after that. So I just feel, yeah, I can give him an 8.5. He's that good.
Wow, it seems like
Yeah,
positive news. Very, very does.
yeah.
Obviously, I'll let you answer this one. I'm not a Tottenham fan.
Okay.
I'm a Manchester United fan. From a Man United perspective, obviously looking on the outside, looking in, I think he'll do wonders. Him and is it Bentancur you've got?
Yeah,
Hit
can't
them
wait
two
for
in
him to come
midfield.
back.
If you had those
Yeah,
two in midfield, my God,
yeah.
that
And then add Basuma to that, because Basuma in the first half against Brentford, he was very good. He controlled the midfield. The second half, everybody dropped their game, and then just Brentford battered us for 3-1. But having said that, he's got to keep. He's fit. He's fit now. You can see he's fit, and I saw him in training. So those three, I think, will be fantastic. And if Højbjerg stays, I think he'll be a squad player for next year, because I think Arne Slot likes players with more legs, and he isn't. He's not slow. Don't get me wrong, and he does cover the pitch, but I think he'll like a bit more, a step up from Højbjerg. Yeah,
Well, there you go. I hope that's answered your question.
yeah.
We're going to move on to the next little topic I have here, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to make you speak about him,
It's
and
all
that
right.
is Saka. So
It's
Saka
all
has
right.
today signed a new contract with Arsenal, which will keep him at the club until 2027. Obviously, he's only 21 years old, and he's made 178 appearances for the club so far and is featured in all of Arsenal's Premier League games over the past 2 campaigns. I mean, for a
Yeah.
21-year-old, that's you've got to admit they are impressive numbers.
Oh, yeah. You can't deny that he's a fantastic footballer. I would have thought, though, I would have thought Man City or Man United would have snapped him up, because he's the next level. And I don't think Arsenal were brilliant this season, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're going to sustain it. I just don't think they're going to sustain it. And I think for a young lad, if he's got ambition and he wants to win trophies, seriously now, we're talking serious trophies. If he moved to Man United or Man City, but you've already got one in the bag. Man City got one in the bag. You've got one to play for against one another. I would have thought he would have had his eyes open. But he obviously loves the club because he's been there for a long time. And I do like loyalty in a
Yeah.
player, Colin. I do like that, because we had one at our club, Steve Perriman, who was fantastic, so loyal. So, in this day and age, he's staying at his boyhood club for another 4 years. So he'll still only be 25. So he's still got years to play, hasn't he? And he'll be a more mature player then.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
to agree. One of the guys that does a lot of work on this channel, he is an Arsenal fan.
yeah.
Um, you know, he was doing a show with this whole breaking news about Saka over on one of our umbrella channels, which is an Arsenal channel. If you are an Arsenal fan, go over there, check out that video. It's a lot more in depth than what this is going to be. He was saying, obviously, fantastic player, glad he's signed a new contract, as you would if you're an Arsenal fan. There is one little sticking point that I don't quite understand. This is going to be rich coming from a Manchester United fan. Yes, I know. £300,000 a week.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money.
He's going to be on the same wage as Harry Kane, more or less, if he signs that deal. It's a lot of money, but I was watching a channel earlier and they were saying he's not worth it. I personally think he's worth it, because he's been performing not just for Arsenal, for England as well. And he's an established England player now. He's probably the first on the team sheet, right? So I just feel if you're good enough, you're worth it. And he is good enough, you know. Some people on the cost of living won't agree. You know, because there's a cost of living crisis out there. But you know, listen, at the end of the day, it's Arsenal who are paying his wages. We can't really say what he's worth. That's what they think he's worth.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
and they want to keep him.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you just obviously like you can only go off of what you've seen and like stats and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you do look at his stats this season, you know, like I said, he's 21 years old. Let's not forget that he's 21 years old. He's
Yeah.
played 37 games this season. 97% he has been in the starting 11. 97% of the time, he's played 94% of every single minute of the games. He's got a 29% goal participation score, and he's got 13 goals and 11 assists. For a player
Brilliant.
that plays out on that right wing, is not a bad return.
Fantastic return. That's what you want from all your wingers, really, because normally midfielders have got that stat, haven't they?
Yeah.
Not wingers. Wingers, they'll be lucky if they get up to 10 assists, if they're lucky on a very, very good season, and they'll probably score in between 5 and 10 goals. He's clocked up 13. So he's proved himself, you know, and other seasons as well, where he's not featured as highly, but that's because he was younger. And he's proved himself slowly. You know, he's maturing as well. And he's a very likable lad as well. Every time I see him in interviews, he's like the darling of the English press, isn't he?
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, I like Saka, even though he plays for our rivals. I wouldn't mind him in our team. Just put it that way.
I think there's a lot. There's a lot that wouldn't
Yeah,
mind him in the team. I'm definitely one of them. I'd have him at United, 100%.
100%.
But speaking of United, I am going to go into the next topic straight away, and
Yeah.
that is Rabiot to join Manchester United this summer on a free. Ten Hag seems to like him. I am not a fan. What's your opinion on Rabiot?
I like him. I'm with Ten Hag on this one. I know we were talking beforehand that you didn't like his attitude and shit like that, but as a player, technically brilliant. He fights. You know, he's got passion. I mean, most French players haven't they? You
Hmm.
don't have to. You don't have to argue with that. But there is a but. You know, he has got a little bit of a temperament, so you got to watch out for that. A little bit of an attitude. You know, in the Premiership, you can't get away with that. You'll get sent off. The referees won't be having any of that. So he'll have to calm down that side of his game. But overall, though, Colin, I think he'll be a good signing. And what he will give you is 100% each game. Definitely.
Fair enough. I respect your opinion. You know, everyone's got
Yeah,
an opinion. I do respect your opinion, and I take it on board. But see, my
yeah,
issue is with it. Yeah, okay, he's 28 years old, still quite young. You know, still got a couple of years left in him. His main position is central midfield. That's his main position. That's where
yeah.
he likes to play. He's played 30 games in Serie A. Now, no disrespect to Serie A, but it is not a hard league compared to the Premier League. It's competitive, but
No,
it's not as hard. He has got
no.
8 goals and 4 assists. I do not think that is good enough to earn you a spot in a team like Manchester United, especially in their midfield.
Yeah. You have to look at those stats and question it, I must admit. But there's lots of players in midfield that don't get goals. We had one brilliant one at Spurs called Dembele, Moussa Dembele. He
Hmm.
was fantastic, right? But he never scored. He scored one or two a season if we were lucky. And he would assist goals, but he wasn't like an over assister. But he done so much good work leading up, you know, because there's pre-assists, there's just general getting stuck in and getting the ball back for your team. And a fighter, someone who can fight for your team when the chips are down. And I think he'll fit in to that role because you've got one in McTominay as well, which I find he's quite he's quite a similar player in terms of stats with McTominay. So are you really upgrading? That remains to be seen. Because, like you said, the Premiership is a harder league.
Yeah, I don't really rate McTominay either, if I'm going to be honest with you. But that's
Yeah, I
for a
don't rate
whole.
him, but what I like about him is different from his stats. I like because he's a fighter. I always like players like Højbjerg, McTominay, Roy Keane, who get stuck in and will fight for your team. Yeah, and they'll tell the other players when they think they're playing crap. They'll voice their opinions. I like players like that, and Rabiot fits into that mould.
Hmm.
What I've seen of him, because I've been watching him, right, and I like his feistiness. He doesn't. He's a never say die sort of player, and maybe that's why Ten Hag likes him, because he likes committed players. But whether he's an upgrade on McTominay, because I think you're going to offload McTominay, aren't you?
I think the way it's looking, it could be that case. Yeah.
Yeah,
But an interesting fact about Rabiot, I think it's quite interesting. It shows a
yeah.
fair bit for me personally. Is nobody has ever bought him. He's never
Ah,
gained a transfer fee. He's always left on free transfers.
there you go. You
Obviously,
know,
United are getting a free transfer because he's out of contract at the end of this summer. But
you don't think he's going to be a first teamer though? You think he's going to be a squad player?
how much we're going to be paying wages wise? Because I know we were in for him before, and it were
Yeah,
ridiculous wages. If he's wanting them again, then he has to be a first teamer. You can't be paying somebody. I think it was free. He might have been like 280,000 a week or something like that. I can't remember the exact numbers.
yeah,
But if he's wanting something like that, he can't afford to sit on the bench and be a squad player. You have to be a first teamer on those wages.
yeah. Unless you're Gareth Bale, of course.
Unless you're Gareth Bale, yeah. But Gareth Bale were playing golf, wasn't he? So, you know,
Yeah.
he was doing things in his own time. We're going to move on to the last topic of the show now. And first off, I just want to say congratulations to Newcastle. 20
Yeah.
years. 20 years it has taken Newcastle to get into the Champions League, and they managed to qualify yesterday with the
Well
0-0
done.
draw. So well done.
That was a weird one, wasn't it? 1-0 against Leicester. Not the best way to qualify, but they fully deserve it. They've played some marvellous football, battered us 6-1, really battered us. And they beat us 2-1 at White Hart Lane as well. So, yeah, congratulations to Eddie Howe as well. I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's a very personable manager, done a great job with, when you think about it, box standard players, some of them. They haven't really got any stars, have they? Like maybe Gamarish and probably I'd say St. Maximin when he wants to turn up. He's that sort of star player, but he hasn't even got a look in every single match because of his work rate. So yeah, I'm happy for Newcastle. Let's see what they can do in the Champions League now.
100%. I mean, well, I love Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe is, well, probably not now, but definitely before. I thought he was one of the most underrated English managers in the game of football. I was asking him, I was hoping he was going to become England manager. I was hoping, obviously, when Man United were looking for a manager before we got Ten Hag in, I was wanting Eddie Howe as well.
Yeah,
I
I
wanted him
don't
to come
blame
in.
you.
And the signings that they've made, yes, they've got obviously very, very wealthy and rich owners. But if you actually look at the signings they've made, they're very, very smart.
I know.
Isaac, they brought in Isaac.
Brilliant.
He's a dangerous goal scorer.
I know. And a very
Somehow,
skillful player.
yeah, very, very skillful.
Yeah,
I mean, and look what he's done to Callum Wilson as well.
I
You know,
know.
Callum Wilson's been in.
Yeah, he's made him back up his ideas as well. Because when you've got competition, you play harder so that you can keep your space. Yeah.
He's done a fantastic job. What do you expect from Newcastle next season? Do you expect them to kick on from what they've done this season? and focus on the league, title race, or do you think it's going to be a case of let's take this Champions League as far as what we possibly can do, because it's 20-year absence.
Yeah. Do you know what? Knowing Eddie Howe, because I know he's a very competitive guy. I saw him on that. There's one, I can't remember what the show's called, but it's like about being professional, and I can't think what the show's called, but it's those two guys from Sky Sports interviewed him. And he's such an intelligent man for starters. He's knowledgeable on football and he's got a passion, right? So I would expect him to go on both fronts, because I wouldn't expect him to highlight one over the other. I would think he'd want to go full go, and he'll want to strengthen his squad as well, because the first 11, beyond that, they're weaker than the other squads. So they'll have to strengthen in those areas to give him half a chance to bag. It's going to be very hard, the league title, because Manchester City and Man United are coming back into the fold now as well. And we've got Arsenal creeping up they crept up and then they bottled it. So I thought I'd get that one out. Being a Spurs fan.
You're going to get me into trouble, you.
True. But I'll get all men into trouble, I'm telling you. Right. But being serious, I think maybe the Champions League he'll concentrate slightly more on, because I think you've got more of a chance. If you get into the last 16, it's anybody's game. As long as you don't meet Real Madrid or Manchester City, you've got a chance to get into the final. And you're bound to meet one of them in the final. It's either going to be them or Liverpool or Man United. You know that. It's going to be one of those. If you're like the Italian teams, they've made a good progress this year, but I think next year will be dominated by English clubs. That's my own personal opinion. But I think they might run closer to Man City. But Man City, they're like something else, aren't they? I don't like to say that on a Man United channel, but they're like, the way they disposed of Real Madrid the other night, bloody hell.
Yeah. Just to clarify, this is not a Man United channel. This is just a football channel. But I understand what you're saying. In front of a Man United fan, it's not. I don't want to hear it, but it's facts.
Yeah.
It's facts.
Correct that. It's not a Man United channel. It's a Man United and Spurs channel.
We've got a question for you here from Ed Mayhem. Do you think Kane will stay?
I think so, yeah. Because, they've done this big mural for him. Right? It's a beautiful mural they've done for him. And he was so proud standing there. I wasn't there when he actually went there, but I was there for the Saturday game against Brentford. And I took quite a lot of photos of it. It's fantastic. I just think, why would you have a mural and then leave? I don't know. And also, because of what he said about Arne Slot and all the little noises he's been making. And when he was going around the pitch, it wasn't like an emotional thing, like when I thought he was going to go to join Man City and he was hugging Son for dear life. They were both sort of not crying, but it was like a man bromance, Yeah, so I think he's going to stay, and then he'll probably leave next season. Well, that's my own personal opinion.
I hope that answered your question, Ed. One last question for you, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, Ellie. I do apologise.
I like being put on the spot.
Very, very, very massive game. The last game of the season, obviously away to Leeds. Leeds fighting for survival. Spurs fighting for European football. Who's going to get the win, and what do you think the score is going to be?
Do you know what? Knowing Spurs, we're going to upset. We're such a little sort of a team. When you don't expect us to win, we go and win, right? And I think we're going to break Leeds United's hearts. I think it's going to be another big scoring game, 3-2 to Spurs. That's what I think, because their defence is quite weak, and I can see Sonny and Kane punishing them, right? And they've lost Bamford as well. which is their biggest goal threat. Maybe not this season because he's been injured a lot, but yeah. But I like Rodrigo. If they do get relegated, I want us to buy him. What a fabulous player! I love him.
He's a great player. He's a really, really good player. And this isn't the Manchester United in me. 100%. I promise this isn't the Manchester United in me. This is the Doncaster, the Yorkshire boy. That's where I am. I hope Leeds get beat at the weekend so they can go back down to the Championship and quieten down a little bit.
These fans tuning in late. You know,
yeah, I apologise. I apologise. I was going to wear because Doncaster Rovers is my local team. I've had season tickets. I've gone and watched them. You know, support your local team.
I like Doncaster. I've been there twice actually to Doncaster because my brother went to Sheffield University and his girlfriend was from Doncaster. Yeah, and we played them in 1970 something. I can't remember the year. I think it was 1977 or 79 in the League Cup, I think it was. And Doncaster fans, fantastic, brilliant at White Hart Lane. The loudest I've ever heard in my. I'm not just saying that because you're from the. They were so loud. Oh my God! And they sang this song, Zigga Zagga, Zigga Zagga, Doncaster.
Zigga Zagga, Zigga Zagga, Doncaster. Yep.
So you've got a little bit of soft spot for your hometown, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, I do. I mean, yeah, I've got Doncaster Rovers shirts. I've even got the Doncaster Rovers badge tattooed on my leg.
Well done.
So you know, I've got a very big soft spot for him, and you know, I've got a lot of good memories. I watched us demolish Aston Villa back in 2005, I think it was. We beat City as well back then. We nearly beat Arsenal until the referee decided he wanted to side with the Premier League side, and we beat Leeds in a playoff final as well. Just to throw that in there.
My soft spot is Nottingham Forest, and I'll tell you why. Because I absolutely adored Brian Clough as a manager. I thought he was fabulous. The way he done his interviews, very blunt, very straight to the point, and young man. I thought he was such a character, and he won the European Cup for Nottingham Forest twice. That's how good he was. And one time he came down to White Hart Lane with his team and they absolutely crucified. They won 3-1, but they could have won 10-1 that day. They made us look stupid. Just like Man City make teams look stupid now with the 6-1s and the 4-1s and the 5-1s that they get. This Forest team, they were fabulous. It was we met them in the FA Cup final in 1991. And you know what? If we'd lost that game, I would obviously sad because my team's Spurs, but I would have been happy for Brian Clough as well because I loved him as a manager. And they had Roy Keane then. Yeah, Roy Keane was in their team then. And you know what happened to him. So you should be thankful to Nottingham Forest. And you've got Gary Birtles as well from there, remember? You're a bit young, aren't you, for that?
I probably am, just before me.
Too young.
Just before me.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up,
before
we do wrap things up, I have just seen a little something pop up on my feed, so I will quickly play this for 2 seconds. And the breaking news is in regards to Manchester United. So my team, this is why it's popped up. So Manchester United are now expecting the preferred bidder from the Glazers to be named at the end of the week. So obviously it's a milestone. So we could, Manchester United fans, any Man United fans here, you know, we could be finding out who's going to be taking over us at the end of the week. I know the Man United channel, United Agenda. If you are a Man United fan, I'm sure they'll be talking about this very shortly. They go live in about 15 minutes time. So go over to the Man United Agenda, they'll cover it a lot more. But as for us today, we are going to wrap it up. Ellie,
Brilliant.
let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, right. So you can find me at THFC Till I Die. That's our channel. I also do Spurs Ladies channel, but it's sort of gone quiet a bit because the season's come to the end. And we're going to be covering the World Cup, the Women's World Cup coming up on the 21st of July. First game in New Zealand between New Zealand and Norway, I believe, if I remember rightly. And also you can find me on the Irish Hotspur because that was my first home. And I'll be on there tonight as well. So if you want to tune into that, the Irish Hotspur is fantastic, and THFC Till I Die. We have brilliant content. We bring you the daily news beat every day, breaking news like Column does, and we have lots of different other shows with lots of different subjects that we cover on mainly Spurs. Yeah, so please join us.
Fantastic. I have put the link there, and I will
Fantastic.
put it into the description at the end of the show. Thank you
Brilliant.
so much for joining
My
me
pleasure.
today, Ellie.
My pleasure. Brilliant, as always,
Pleasure.
Colin. Brilliant.
And I won't be back tomorrow, but I will be back. I think it's Thursday because there's a very important game for Manchester United. We could secure our top 4 spot when we play Chelsea. So I will be back then. But as for now, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their day.
Brilliant.
Goodbye.